a pain in the backside.
Really?
Just the worst. Don't like cancellation. I can't stand cancellation. Why can't Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe mend the bridges with Nigel Farage? Not going to happen. Reform have got a definite problem here. I'll tell you what my problem with Starmer's government is. They see his policies, they see their catastrophic incompetence, and they go, I don't want this. Where's Nigel Farage?
Have GB News ever come calling for you? You'd never leave talk for GB News, would you? Welcome to the Daily Expresso. I'm JJ Anisiobi, and my guest today, well, he's a man who always says the wrong thing at the right time. He's a broadcaster, columnist, a professional irritant, you might say. He's loved, he's loathed, but he's never ignored. Joining me today is my good mate, Talk TV legend, Kevin O'Sullivan. Kev, welcome.
Hello, JJ. How you doing?
It's been a while, mate.
I'm not sure what I make of that intro. What did you say? That he says the right thing at the wrong time?
Says the wrong thing at the right time.
I think you'll find that I have perfected saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. I'm always wrong.
Yeah. First question, Uncle Kev. Why are you such a miserable old git?
That's a very good question. No, I mean, if I'm to take that ridiculous question seriously, you know me. I've got this image of being miserable and angry because events, the world I see, the country I live in, make me miserable and angry. But away from the camera, away from the broadcasting studios, you know me. I'm not miserable. I'm not. I spend most of my time laughing. But I've got this image of being Mr. Angry.
Yeah.
And I do get angry about things. I'm not one of those people who can just go, "Oh, I see that the migrant crisis isn't going too well. I wonder if Labour will pull their socks up and get some." It just makes me furious.
Yeah.
Do something. So that's I'm an explosive character.
Indeed, you are.
That's the reason for that.
Your career has spanned Fleet Street, Hollywood. Now you're a well-known
Wormwood
broadcaster.
Scrubs.
Wormwood Scrubs. When you look back, did you ever expect your career to turn out like this?
Well, I'll tell you what's strange. What I'd never expected that I would end up, in broadcasting.
Mm.
I mean, I always fancied myself. I probably should have gone into it a lot earlier.
Yeah.
And when I came back from the States, I was in Los Angeles till about the turn of the century, 99, something like that. I came back and I was doing showbiz journalism at the Mirror. Then I came to write my column. So I was suddenly in big demand to do lots of interviews for the BBC and ITV. So I did lots and lots of TV. Mm-hmm. And, though I say so myself, I wasn't bad at it. You know me, I can talk.
Yeah.
I've got no skills in life, but I can talk. So it did seem fairly clear that, broadcasting might be an avenue in the future. And of course, when I finally stopped doing my column at the Sunday Mirror, I did that for about 10 years, 35 hours of television every week. Mm. People go, what a great job, watching TV for a living. It's Strictly Come Dancing, X Factor, Britain's Got Talent, just pass me the cyanide, So when I stopped doing that in 2016, I put that... flatteringly, when I was fired in 2016, cutbacks and all that.
Yeah.
I did do it for about a decade. Lo and behold, an opportunity opened up for me at Talk Radio, and I'm still there. And I look back on it and I think, I should have done this, when I was young.
Yeah.
I could have been like Richard Madeley or something like that, and rich, Instead, I'm not Richard Madeley and I'm not rich.
Well, you've interviewed a slew of celebrities, politicians, MPs and all of that. Who surprised you the most in a good way? Let's start with the actual celebrities.
I remember Keanu Reeves was kind of spacey. I said to him, "What do you like to do when you get a day off?" It was one of my stock questions, and he went, "I love to walk through the sand, feel the sand in my toes and the ocean on my feet." Patrick Swayze, God rest his soul, very nice guy. During our 40-minute interview, I think he went to the bathroom about 6 times.
Oh, really?
I think he must have had some sort of cold or something. Kept sniffing. I don't know what that was all about.
Who was your biggest disappointment?
James Caan. James Caan. What a pain in the backside.
Really? Sonny from The Godfather was a pain in the butt?
Oh, just the worst. I flew to Hawaii. The studio flew me to Hawaii. He was making Honeymoon in Vegas with Nicolas Cage. James Caan deliberately kept me waiting 10 hours.
What?
And then when I sat down, he started talking about my pissy little magazine and all this kind of stuff.
Wow.
And so I said to him, yeah, but you've made some pissy little films, haven't you? And he didn't like that. And then, by the way, he was okay in the end, but he deliberately did the big star act. You have to wait for me. And then when we finished the interview, he said, you want to come for a drink? So I go, yeah, okay. So I went off with him and Cage, actually, and we went into... it was on the Big Island. Is it Kona? That's right.
I
Kona.
have no idea.
Where the coffee comes from.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we went on a complete bar crawl with them, and then I began to like him a bit more. But he was a classic case of the big I am. I'm the big Hollywood star, the movie star. So I didn't like him very much.
So you went on a bar crawl with Nicolas Cage and James Caan.
It's quite an experience.
Wow. And were they into the... Did they have runny noses a lot?
No. To be fair, not at all. They were just they like to drink though. They like to drink. So they're very impressed that I was able to keep up. I said, I'm from Fleet Street. Don't worry about that.
Well, speaking of Fleet Street, you are a proper old school journalist. What were
old-fashioned journalism?
Old-fashioned journalist. What was Fleet Street like back in the day? I was way too young for Fleet Street. By the time I came into the industry,
you wouldn't have got anywhere. You had to be good. You had to be good.
Fleet Street didn't exist essentially as it used to with all the papers being there by the time I got into it. But so what, was it really as wild as people used to tell me?
It was absolutely intoxicating. So I was on a local paper. I was on a couple of local papers, the Wimbledon News, and then I was the chief reporter on the Sutton Herald down in Surrey. In those days, you had to prove yourself. To know a story, to be sharp, and once you'd managed to sell to a newspaper. I used to sell stories to the Sunday People in those days, which was selling in those days 4.2 million copies a week.
Whoa.
And they used to pay massive money.
Yeah.
In those days, I was earning 30 quid a week.
Yeah.
And if you sold a story to the People, sometimes they give you 500, sometimes more. They give you massive amounts. In those days, huge amounts of money.
Yeah.
I did catch the tail end of the Wild West days of Fleet Street. These were the days when people would get sacked by a paper in the morning, for probably being drunk or something. They'd go to a pub like the Bell, which is the Express pub. Yeah. So they'd be sacked in the morning and be hired in the pub by another paper by the end of the day. That's what it was like.
Yeah.
So, those were fantastic days. And to be honest with you, I don't mean to speak badly of journalism or national newspaper journalism now. It's still an exciting trade. But compared with when I first got to Fleet Street, it's like being an accountant in a library, if you know what I mean.
Well, what is the big difference between the old school Fleet Street journos back in your day and the journalists we have today? Where are our journalists of today failing?
Well, the big difference is that most journalists were, entirely drunk most of their lives. I mean, light drinkers were only slightly drunk. The heavy ones. So there was an incredible amount of alcohol going down. But what would I say? Well, I'll tell you the difference. I mean, that's the other thing. Back then, and this did go, to be fair, this went on way after Fleet Street. But the intense rivalry, the pressure not to get scooped, the pressure to get the best story was absolutely intense. And if you went out on a story, if I went out on a story for the People and I got scooped by the Sunday Mirror, I mean, you go back in the office, people didn't even look at you. It was as if you had leprosy or something. And you'd have to sort of literally pull your career up by its bootstraps and try and, so what has left the arena, what has left the building, if you like, is that intense rivalry and the intense pressure not to be beaten by the other paper. And in those days, of course, you didn't just rewrite what's on social media and the internet. Yeah. I mean, I don't blame the papers for doing a lot of that because it's available. It's there. You've got a ready-made copy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't promote a kind of healthy atmosphere of independent inquiry. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is good on Twitter. Oh, look what Ricky Gervais has just tweeted. Oh look, oh, look, the papers now, they do something that, in my day would be an anathema, So, they get a great story and they put it immediately online so all the others can nick it. And then all the others sort of nick it and credit, extraordinary story. The Sun reported today. And that's if you're on the Daily Mirror or the Daily Mail. And vice versa. Well, in my day, whatever paper you were on, you acted as if no other newspapers existed. You never name-checked your rivals.
Yeah.
Such was the intensity of the rivalry. And to go back to the Fleet Street days, that was when, at the end of every day, when I was on the Sun and that, all the journalists would be required to hang around until the first editions dropped in the pubs and things, in case one of the others had a big story, or they had a buy-up or something, and so you had to wait till the first editions, and then you'd be in the various pubs. Every newspaper had their own pub, by the way. And you asked me where perhaps modern journalism, modern newspapers has lost something. What they've lost is that intense spirit of competition, and without a spirit of competition, I think quality goes down. So that would be my point.
Let's talk about your broadcasting. Have GB News ever come calling for you?
Not as such.
Not as such. What does that mean? That's double talk.
I've down the pipelines I've heard.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, for better or for worse, I'm reasonably successful for talk.
Yeah.
Where I work now, of course. I've done some big stories. I present Talk's biggest TV show that you've been on. What just happened?
What just happened?
I'm also doing, that's getting $250,000 a week, and I do. I'm now doing Plank of the Week as well for technical reasons. We all know about that. So, I'm responsible with my show as well. I'm bringing in quite a few 100,000 views every week. So, when you do that, you'll find that your Oppo, the rival company, might be interested in nicking you to screw up the opposition. I think they'd mainly be interested in me because it might inflict some damage on my current employees.
But you'd never leave Talk for GB News, would you? You seem to have Talk in your DNA, I would say.
I like it at Talk. I mean...
Oh, never say never?
Well, you have to say that, don't you? This is journalism, I'd never say never. Come on. That would be a stupid thing to say. So, I mean...
When are you going to defect?
Look, put it this way. I don't think GB News could afford me because, I'm on £200 a week. So I don't think they could come up with any more than that. I'm going for a pay rise, but at the moment, 200. Can't complain. No, I mean... the genuine answer to your question is, nobody in journalism who says I will never leave where I am and I will never be interested in a rival's job offer.
Yeah.
Anybody who says that is an idiot. So, never say never.
All right. I think you got your big break on TV. You're doing radio prior, but your big break on TV was on what was then called The Right Show.
The Right Stuff.
The Right Stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying earlier, I was doing a lot of television. I was doing... The truth is, probably my big break in TV was Richard and Judy. And that was before I was doing my TV column. And I think they got me on once. It was when I was like showbiz editor of the Mirror. Mm-hmm. And they got me on once. and they liked me. And then fairly soon I was doing 3 a week. And, that was very rewarding in so many ways, mainly financial. So I was doing that. That led to, I used to do Good Morning Britain, or what was it called then? What was it called? Eamon Holmes. Not Good Morning Britain.
Yeah.
What's it called? Called Good Morning Britain now.
Good Morning Television. Good Morning
GMTV. GMTV.
Yeah.
So I was doing that quite a lot. I used to do This Morning. I used to do all those daytime shows quite a lot. A few evening shows as well. And Matthew Wright was my old mate at the Mirror. Of course, he went to do his own show. And when I got my TV column, which was in about 2006, he liked to do a TV slot every Friday, and he just said, "Well, why don't you come and do it?" So I did it every Friday for about 10 years until Matthew sort of quit.
Yeah.
And then Jeremy Vine came along, and Jeremy Vine didn't like me. So no, I don't think he wasn't. He didn't like me. He didn't.
I've heard that. I've heard Jeremy Vine hates you.
Yeah, that's exclusive. No, it was the. I don't think he liked the TV slot all that much.
Okay.
So also it was Horses for Courses. Me and Matthew had a rapport.
Yeah.
And it was very popular. And
then you and Matthew worked together at Talk Radio as well.
Yeah, well, that's what happened was that. By the way, when I was doing Matthew's show, that's when I first sort of began to experience the fame game, getting recognised and things, quite a lot in those days. And then Matthew quit his show, The Right Stuff, and took up an offer from Talk Radio, as it was then, to do the afternoon show. And he asked me if I'd come and be his sort of full-time sidekick. Studio friend. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't doing anything else. So I said, why not? And that went on for, I'm trying to think how long, maybe a year or around about a year, something like that.
Yeah.
And then Matthew wasn't, shall we say, compatible with Talk Radio's worldview.
Okay.
Matthew's rather left wing, and Talk Radio wasn't.
Yeah.
So the upshot of it all was, look, we're getting rid of Matthew. Do you fancy staying around? So I said, you're all right. So me and Matthew, let's put it this way, we don't chat all that much these days.
Right. So Talk Radio sacked Matthew Wright, your mate who brought you in, and you slipped into his grave.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't wait, I took my opportunity.
Body was still warm.
I took my opportunity. I stabbed him in the front. No, it didn't go like that. Matthew and Talk Radio fell out due to he wasn't popular with the audience because Matthew's very left wing, and it's up to him. Our audience never was. They don't like that, and it just wasn't really working. So. They suggested to Matthew, or I think Matthew decided, I'm out. I don't think they wanted to renew his contract or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they didn't sort of say, right, you could be the new Matthew, because, I didn't have any experience.
Yeah.
But the boss said, I tell you what, do you fancy doing, why don't you start doing Saturday morning? So I started doing, my first shows were 10 until 1 p.m. I still cover that time slot.
That's a good
Great time slot.
Yeah.
And then after a while, the boss said, yeah, it's good. Do Sundays as well. So then I did 10 to 1 Saturday and Sunday, which was a nice gig. Yeah. Then I did more and more stand-ins during the weekday. And then they asked me to do 7 to 10, 5 days a week, which I did. And then along came Talk TV, you lot, and my show got cancelled.
But you got to work with me 5 nights a week.
Exactly. So I lost all my income, but it was at least I met you. No, I mean, in actual fact, when Talk TV first came along, I wasn't in the mix at all. Mm-hmm. It wasn't good for me at all. But as you know, Talk TV, just like it was for you, was very good for me in the end.
Yeah.
And I was on it more than anyone else.
Yeah, you were. You really were.
And also I learned a lot then. I learned a lot, doing, in the end, as you know, I was doing, I did a half-hour show in the morning, 2-hour live show every afternoon. with Alex Phillips, and then often doing the chat show with you in the evening.
And I was your stand-in. I was your number 2. Whenever you were on
That's right,
holiday,
you were.
I'd fill in for you.
Yeah, well, I asked them if you could do it because I didn't feel threatened by it. Never get somebody good to replace you when you're on holiday. That's always my philosophy. So I just want to thank you for stepping in. No, you did do a great job. I'm just joking, folks.
All the comments will be like, yeah, Kevin's right.
Yeah.
How powerful are channels like Talk and GB News? Because, for example, I know you're now, since I left you, you've become very pally with Ben Habib all of a sudden. He's now on your show once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for a good period of time, Ben Habib, I think, is still banned from GB News, I suspect. And he wasn't on Talk for a good while. So how powerful are these channels that they can say, this politician we're going to help and we're going to give them a platform, these politicians we're not going to speak to at all?
I think that Talk and GB News have taken up a really interesting position in our sort of ongoing national narrative. And sometimes I think from my point of view, you look at GB News and my show and you look at Talk and you think, everybody in this country is right-wing. Everybody is furious about the migrant crisis because this is our market.
Yeah.
They hate net zero. This is our market, and so on and so on. They hate Labour. They can't stand Keir Starmer. So you get sort of influenced by your own audience, if you like, your own bubble. So how powerful are GB News and Talk? I think they are very powerful, and they represent, I think, a growing tide of national opinion. I think this nation is lurching rightwards, not as far as some people think, but it is lurching rightwards, and in so far as that's the truth, GB News and Talk are very important in that, ongoing kind of change in our political scene. I mean, I'm still hearing all these Westminster dinosaurs going, no, the elections are won from the centre. Okay, they always used to be. I've got a feeling anybody who goes into the next election thinking that is going to lose.
Yeah.
So yes, we're powerful because we are we're the stewards of that strain of thinking, which I think is rising. I mean, because of the deep-seated hatred of Starmer's government. So, yeah, I'll tell you what my problem with Starmer's government is.
What?
It's not. I'm, as you know, JJ, I'm not sort of your typical socialist. I'm not exactly likely to like any Labour policies.
Yeah.
But I knew that. I knew they were going to come up with policies I wouldn't like. That's life. What terrifies me about this government is, they got lousy policies I hate. I expected that, but they're so incompetent at bringing them about. Yeah. They're so incompetent, and
every
time they announce a policy, they change their mind a month later because people.
So
that's what worry. And the worse they get, Starmer. People say it's GB News and Talk and Nigel Farage and Reform. They are fanning the flames of this right-wing explosion. Not nearly as much as Keir Starmer is. Because people see this government, they see his policies, they see their catastrophic incompetence, and they go, I don't want this. Where's Nigel Farage? It's Keir Starmer that is causing this. And as that right-wing tide rises, and I don't think you should overstate it, by the way. We're not going to turn into a nation of fascists. Well, our kind of right-wingism will still be a sort of centrist right-wing, but much more right than it used to be. But the more that becomes a thing, the more GB News and Talk will be important.
But then people like Ben Habib, for example, I still think he's banned. It's not official, but I don't see him on GB News anymore. He's only just returned to Talk screens. Was he banned previously?
No, I don't think he was banned. He just sort of disappeared because he was there was problems. Advance UK, for better or for worse. I don't want to get into a discussion about Tommy Robinson, but Tommy Robinson is a member of Advance UK. Mm-hmm. Tommy Robinson, likes Ben Habib. Ben Habib has spoken up on behalf of Tommy Robinson, went to Tommy Robinson's rallies and all that. And therefore, some mainstream media got nervous about Ben because of his association with Tommy Robinson. And I said at talk, well, what's that got to do with us? Mm. I mean, the man's got a right to make his own associations, his own friendships. Yeah. Why would anybody cancel a guy for that reason? And, I was forcefully informed he's not cancelled. So I sort of got him back on. Okay. But, that's what I feel. As I say, I don't hold any particular strong feelings about Tommy Robinson at all. And I certainly don't think that people who associate with him should be cancelled for that reason. I don't like cancellation. I can't stand cancellation. Yeah. So that I've got him back, but I do think that there are other outlets who still find him nerve-wracking. Yeah. Mm. I don't know why. Yeah. I don't know why.
Speaking of Farage and reform, they're the favourites to win the next general election at the moment. Mm-hmm. It's a long time away. A lot can happen and change between now and then. Mm. But do you think Farage should now turn to Rupert Lowe and say, all's forgiven, come back to the party if he wants to really cement and secure victory?
I'll tell you what, JJ, if I had a quid for every phone call we get at work on our switchboard, every message I get saying, why can't Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe mend the bridges with Nigel Farage and get back into reform? Please, please, please. And I have to tell them, I'm really sorry. I mean, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Mm. But that is not going to happen in a month of Sundays. It's just not going
Why not?
I think in the end, it comes down to basics. Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe don't like Nigel Farage, and he doesn't like them. And in politics, politics is a dirty game, a ruthless game, and when people fall out, they tend to fall out spectacularly. I think it's a shame for the Reform Project that they lost Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe, because both guys are very popular. Yeah. They're very popular with, the right-leaning population of this country. And as I say, so many of Reform supporters are desperate. They're idealistically hoping that Ben and Rupert come back to the fold, but trust me, they won't. Mm-hmm. They just won't. So it would be better if they could. Yeah. If they did, for reform anyway. But I know both those guys quite well, and it just isn't going to happen.
Oof. Some of our viewers will not be happy to hear that, let me tell you.
Well, I'm just doing my job, JJ, reporting the facts. No, I mean, I get that. If you're a reform supporter, it'd be great to have those two guys in it. Mm. But they've fallen out with Farage. They don't like the way he operates. And, of course, Ben Habib started his own party, which, by the way, it's getting some numbers. It's getting some numbers. Ben told me that, he thinks they're going to stand a real chance at the next general election. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think reform is moving too quickly to worry about Ben Habib's party.
I think there's another thing about reform. I don't know if you were going to ask me this, but
I was going to ask you this question actually. So
this is the question you were going to ask me.
This
is the question you were going to ask me. Are they embracing too many Tories?
I was about to ask you that question.
Yeah,
obviously.
And a lot of our audience, a lot of reform supporters think the answer is yes. But I think that a lot of these reform supporters who are where they are because they became disillusioned with the two-party system. The Tories still don't understand how betrayed their supporters feel by them. Those 14 years of Cameron, May, Johnson, Sunak,
Truss.
Truss actually was the one Tory leader whose policies
were conservative.
Were conservative. She was. The people I'm talking about liked her policies. The actual enactment of the policies wasn't particularly triumphant. But those, Cameron, May, Johnson, and Sunak, they were sort of Lib Dems really, and they're. Yes, Keir Starmer's achieved the impossible and made the migrant crisis even worse, but it's not his fault. The Tories did this.
Yeah.
It was their policies that sort of landed us with this mess, this asylum seeker mess. So the Tories are not across how betrayed millions of people feel by them. They seem to think, Kemi stand up and say, yeah, we did let you down a bit, but we won't do it again. Well, I'm sorry, but, Kemi, but you lot made your bed and now you're going to have to lie in it. And a lot of our audience, they are not happy about this. I mean, was it only last week, wasn't it? Or was it the week before? So Nadim Zahawi, the former Chancellor of the Exchequer, big scalp for Reform UK to get. Our lot hated it.
Yeah.
They just thought, this guy's just basically he got wheeled out of politics due to his dodgy tax affairs.
Yeah.
No longer a tour de force in the Tory movement. His political career is kind of over. So here's a good way of him being powerful, important, and on the front line again. So they thought this is just sheer opportunism.
Yeah.
They didn't like that. They liked Jenrick, and they're keen on Suella Braverman. But
Jonathan Gullis?
I think that he's not. I know Jonathan. I like Jonathan, but they will like Jonathan when they get to know him. I mean, he didn't really register. We're talking about the big names.
Yeah.
But a lot of them don't want to know about Suella Braverman. Don't want to know about Robert Jenrick. But they're being naive, because the thing about reform is this, it's not a sort of shiny, brilliant new party. It's what the Tories used to be under Thatcher, basically. Don't forget, that's what Nigel Farage is. That's what Richard Tice are. These people are old school Tories, from the old days, who used to have right-wing policy. So Reform UK have just taken on that mantle. So it's not unnatural, or, in my view, worrying that people on the right of the Conservative Party, who also feel betrayed and disenfranchised by this new left-wing Tory party, are gravitating towards reform because that's their spiritual home. I mean, there's still, although the Tories say, we will leave the ECHR, they took a long time to get there and people don't trust them. But the craziest thing about them is this net zero thing. Tories don't want, or right-wing people don't want this net zero claptrap. They just don't want it. We'll keep it a little bit. No, you idiots. That's how to lose the vote. So Reform UK, they call it nut zero, net stupid, don't they?
Yeah.
And they're just going to cancel it. That's what these Reform voters want. But so Reform have got a definite problem here. And I think Nigel Farage, if I was to give him any advice, I'd say, you need to articulate this. You need to articulate why it's not a bad thing that Jenrick, Braverman, Kruger, why all these right-wing Tories have joined your party. I don't think he does that enough. He needs to instill confidence in his supporters that they're not becoming, the old Tories in a new suit, if you know what I mean.
Last question for you, Uncle Kev. Would you rather have Trump in charge of the UK or have Starmer?
I'd love to have Trump in charge of the UK so we could stop all this net zero madness, actually solve the migrant crisis.
Drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill, so that our energy prices stop being the highest in the world by a mile. Anybody who stops that idiot Ed Miliband, the crazy Ed, would be a good thing. So, yes, I would love to see his forthright, no-nonsense approach applied to Britain. I'll tell you a policy that I would really like Donald Trump to bring to Britain. When he got his troops to kidnap the president of Venezuela, Medusa, I would like him to fly over to London and kidnap Keir Starmer in the same way. This,
The thing is, if he did that, I guarantee you, all of our pro-lefty leaders would not be in the streets complaining. They wouldn't be there, they wouldn't be out protesting. But they're out protesting for Maduro, a man who has destroyed a country. If Stalin was kidnapped by Trump, nobody in this country would be out in the streets.
yeah, no, exactly. And just to go back to Stalin for a second, I mean, his assault on democracy is extraordinary. You know, I mean, he says he's offering councils the chance to cancel elections because of border realignment and reorganisation. Not many people believe him. He's cancelling the elections in case he loses them, and now we've got the Andy Burnham saga.
Yeah, disgraceful.
So what worries me about Starmer, there's lots of things worry me about him, but he's not a Democrat. He's incompetent. And he's running this country into the ground. So would I like Donald Trump to take over from Keir Starmer? I mean, Donald shouldn't take this as too much of a compliment, but in a heartbeat, I wouldn't mind my dog taking over from Keir Starmer.
What if we got Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to take over instead? Just interim managers.
All right, you got me there. Keir can stay. Keir can stay on that basis.
Kevin O'Sullivan, thank you so much.
You're welcome,
mate.
JJ.
I hope you have all enjoyed that as much as I did. Please leave your comments, like and subscribe. But don't forget, you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thank you very much and see you again soon. Bye-bye.